Find the equation in standard form that satisfies the given condition and graph the line. Given 2 points, in general we'd like to stack them, and the order in which you stack them doesn't matter. We're going to do this to subtract those two y values and subtract the x values. Subtraction will give us the change in y over the change in x. To subtract -3, a little complicated to do, so I highly suggest that anytime you're trying to do subtraction, you change it to addition of the opposite. And this would be the opposite of each coordinate. So now we have 2 plus 3, which is 5. That's our numerator. And 5 plus -1 is 4. That's our denominator. And that gives us our slope, our change in y over our change in x. If you'll recall, the point slope form is y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. We can use either point as our x1, y1. So I'm going to choose this first point to be my x1, y1. And I'll put those values here in the equation for the point slope form. Our y1 is 2. Our x1 has the value 5. And our slope that we just found by subtracting the 2 points was 5/4. The next thing I'd like to do is clear parentheses. So I'm going to multiply this 5/4 to the x, and also this 5/4 to the -5, giving us -25/4. So we have y minus 2 is equal to 5/4 x minus 25/4. Our next step is to try and clear fractions. When you write an equation in standard form, there are no fractions. I can multiply both sides by 4, but when I multiply this side by 4, I'm going to have to use the distributive property and multiply 4 to each term. So I'm going to write it next to each term so that you can see easily how I'm going to reduce. So I'm going to put another 4 right here. Also, I need to multiply this side by 4, and again that's going to go to each term. So 4 times y is 4y, and 4 times -2 is -8, is equal to, and here I'm reducing. That's why I'm multiplying by this 4 is to clear fractions. So I get 5x, and again I reduce, minus 25. Standard form has both variables on the same side of the equation, and the leading coefficient for x should be positive. So I'm going to add a -4y to both sides of the equation. Also, all the constant numbers should be on the other side of the equation away from the variables. So I'm going to add 25 to each side of the equation. I now have 17 is equal to 5x minus 4y. And this is what we call standard form. Second part of the instruction said to graph this line. And I'm going to graph this line by graphing these 2 points. 5, 2 is in the x direction 5, in the y direction positive 2, and also the point 1, -3, which is in the x direction positive 1, in the y direction -3. Any 2 points will determine a line, and a line continues forever. So we'll put arrows on the end of the line. So there's our graph and our equation.